One of the things that ends up happening is sometimes you think you have a plan. Sometimes you think you have things under control. Sometimes you think everything is going to work exactly as you hope it's going to work. And then the interruptions happen. Yes, you're doing something that needs concentration, and all of a sudden, text notifications on your phone go off. Secondly, you're in a situation where you go, I need to concentrate, and something else happens. And then you might be in an apartment building, and then you hear people either immediately above you or immediately below you who start to make noises. And there's clanking, and there's people who sound like they're working on plumbing, and there's other things that are going on, and you go, if only I could have the space and the time that I really desire and that I really want and that I really believe that I need. This can even lead to a certain level of frustration. But sometimes we need to understand that there is a patience that's being formed in us. And sometimes the interruptions are such that they are doing a work of character in us. They're doing a work where we go, I need things to be the way that I perceive that they ought to be. But instead, what ends up happening is people are having to respond and having to manage life going on around us. And so honestly, when life goes on around us, it doesn't mean that everything is going to go exactly the way that we think everything ought to go. It doesn't mean that we're going to get precisely and exactly what it is that we want. And the difference between someone who is not mature and who is thin-skinned and who can only operate when everything is perfect, and the person who has weathered trials and weathered difficulties and knows how to accomplish and overcome, is that everybody does okay when things line up and when they do precisely and exactly what you want them to do. But there is the greater challenge that ends up happening and ends up taking place when things aren't going your way, when things are difficult, when things are such that we're not entirely sure that we're going to be able to accomplish, we're going to be able to overcome, when we're facing difficulties before us. And I just really want to encourage you, because I too really prefer it when everything works exactly how I want it to work. But I also understand that if God is going to grow me up, is going to mature me and make me so that I can operate in a wide variety of circumstances, He is going to have to allow me to be tested. And personally, I don't like being tested. I like everything just working the way it's supposed to go. But if push comes to shove and God is building character, I prefer that He tests me in private. I would prefer that He tests me when others aren't necessarily watching. And I don't know how it works for you, but after you've been tested in private and after you've been tested when it seems like nobody's watching, it might actually be the time where God is going to be confident enough in you and what He has created in you, to the point where you're going to end up being able to be put on display. And God will be able to say of you, as He said of Job thousands of years ago, "Have you seen my servant Job?" God Himself was very proud of who Job was, even at the beginning of the trials and the testings that are recorded in the book of Job. And things would end up getting very difficult for a season with Job. And part of what made it more difficult for Job was honestly the truth that his friends had lost faith and trust in him and believed that what he was going through was something that he had brought upon himself with his own moral or spiritual imperfection. But that wasn't the case. Shalom.